Hey, Jenny, what's so great about beer?
Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. Welcome. You are listening to Beer Talk Radio, the only craft beer podcast in the business section. I am your host, Jenny the Greek, the queen of beers, la reina de cerveza, the Khaleesi of craft, the Bourdain of brews, the Cardi B of ABV, pourer of pilsners, and lover of local dives. Make sure to visit the Beer Talk Radio website at www.beertalkradio.net. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please send me an email, jenny@beertalkradio.net. And if you're a fan, you can be on the show as well. Just click the link in my show notes, leave me a voicemail, and I'll put you on the following episode. Let's drink. Welcome. You are listening to the Beer Talk Radio podcast. It's me, Jenny the Greek, and we are doing, I have a guest here. I'm doing something kind of different. I haven't told you guys about Hayward yet. So Hayward is a city that's right next to the city that I live in, San Leandro, Oakland area. And there is a cool little downtown area. And in that downtown area, there is a street called B Street. There's A Street, B Street, and C Street. But on B Street, we have Buffalo Bills. Say that 3 times fast. On B Street, we have Buffalo Bills. On B Street, we have Buffalo Bills. On B Street, we have Buffalo Bills. I'm not just here at Buffalo Bills for no reason. I'm here because I had to make a craft beer date happen with a special guy. I just met this guy on LinkedIn. We're in a mastermind together, and we're both doing some very unique things with our lives. But craft beer and LinkedIn has brought us together, so I would like to welcome you all, Mr. Nelson Everett Toriano.
Hey, it's a pleasure to meet you guys, and welcome to the show.
Now, Nelson, this is what I like about you. I mean, there's so many interconnections here that we have. So you're a personal trainer, but you have a much bigger and much deeper vision for how you want to run your business that affects other personal trainers in terms of their finances, and I think that's amazing. I didn't grow up in the Bay, but you did, Nelson. So you have some stories for us about Hayward, the city that we're in right now. And then we're both big fans of LinkedIn. We are so what's the word? Disenfranchised? No. Disillusioned with the rest of social media. But we love LinkedIn, and that is how we came together. And little did we know in our LinkedIn group that we would find each other here in the Bay Area, both loving craft beer, both being fans of a healthy lifestyle, you being on the physique end of it, and me being on the food is thy medicine, culinary end of it. I'm just so excited. We have so much to talk about. Tell everyone about you.
Man, where do I start? My name is Nelson Toriano. I've been born and raised in the Bay Area. Specifically, if you're from the Bay Area, you would know I'm born in the East Bay. So the Bay Area divided into 4. There's going to be San Francisco, North, East, and South. I'm born on the east side of the Bay in Fremont, but I actually went to high school here in Hayward. So long time ago, I'm class of 1999. So back in the day, this whole downtown area didn't even exist. It was a little bit more run down. A lot of non-investment were happening at that time. So it feels really cool to be back on my own stomping ground and see how things have changed. There's a lot more people nowadays. But anywho, right after high school, I went to San Francisco. I went to University of San Francisco, and I studied journalism. So I really like writing.
Wait. You studied journalism, and you just started your podcast 2 weeks ago? Are you kidding me?
Interviewing on podcasts. So I don't have a podcast.
It's 10 years ago.
10 years ago. So hang on to that thought that I was a journalism major. So after journalism, since you're in the Bay Area, you end up working in tech. So I found myself working in tech like everyone else. I was in search engine optimization, bouncing around different companies. And I always wanted to pursue my MBA. So I actually went to Cal State Hayward. Back in the day, it was still called Cal State Hayward.
Okay.
Then it changed to Cal State East Bay. And the rumor has it that they changed it to Cal State East Bay because Hayward denoted it was a little too hood. So they wanted to increase enrollment, and apparently more students enrolled when they changed their name. So I went in at Cal State Hayward, but I graduated Cal State East Bay. If you look at my diploma, it's a little different. I was still working at tech companies at the time, but eventually I got laid off because that year it was about like 2008, 2009. Went into financial hardship after like millions of Americans, but I ended up getting my feet back on the ground. We're founding another tech company. Was there for about 6 years, but my side hustle, ever since I graduated in college, undergraduate, 2003, my side hustle was always working at 24-hour fitness. I was teaching classes, got my certification to train individuals on the side. My side hustle was always fitness. I was always passionate about just exercise. I didn't really think of it as a career. I was earning like maybe an extra $300 a month or something, right? Then around 2012, I hit that age and I hit that emotional part in my career where, is this it? Am I really going to be sitting behind a cubicle? I can't see myself doing this for another 20 years. I can't imagine myself retiring in this company. And on top of that, I was in my mid-20s. So if any of you guys are sitting in a cubicle and you've been sitting in that cubicle for a really, really long time, you know your wrists hurt, your back hurts.
So Nelson, 44% of my listeners are out of Silicon Valley.
Really?
So you are speaking to the right crowd. As you were saying, if your wrist hurts,
Yep. You know the back pain. You know your neck pain. Sometimes it gets common that your migraines end up being common but tolerable. Like, that's not right. So I was in that emotional state. I was like, and the physical state also was like, something's got to give. So the opportunity came up. Actually, I spent about like maybe 2 to 3 years soul searching. And then the opportunity came up to manage my own gym. One of the gyms, the program manager was leaving, and so her position was open, so I went for it. Long story short, I got the job, and the person I was interviewing with leaned in during the interview process. She's all, you know you're not going to be earning as much as you are currently in your tech job. I mean, you're going to be earning maybe like $30,000, $40,000 less. And I said, I'll figure something out. I took the job. Never looked back.
Good.
It took me about a year to get back to the income level that I was earning in tech, but I still nonetheless got myself back up there. It took a little bit more grit. I mean, the road to success was definitely not linear at all. I was hustling. And this is when I started really growing myself as a business owner, as being an entrepreneur, as being passionate about fitness and giving back to the community and helping people be healthy. I was like, that really spoke to me. It's something that was missing when I was working in that cubicle, in that particular job. Now, if you are working in tech and you find it self-actualizing and fulfillment, great, more power to you. Just for me, my personality wasn't there. So I switched careers. I went into fitness full-time. I started doing search engine optimization part-time. And then I started realizing, being in the fitness world for such a long time, that a lot of the other trainers who didn't come from a business background, they were still financially struggling. So they were still earning $30,000, $40,000 less than the average income level in Silicon Valley. So a lot of them, unfortunately, were quitting. A lot of them were in their mid-20s and were forced to relocate to either Southern California, to Phoenix, to Tampa, moving to the Midwest because cost of living was so low, but they can still at least have the chance to move out of their studio apartment, at least have the chance of starting their family, not even actually doing it. One trainer actually had the possibility of actually starting her own family, being pregnant at an appropriate age for her body. You know, so there were a lot of these life situations that personal trainers, my colleagues, were going through, that I started noticing a lot of them were trying to live off of a very low salary. So I felt that it was my social responsibility to take my background in business, everything at that time, I already graduated with my MBA, understand how finance works, understand how accounting works, and actually write a book, provide education to supplement their education. So how the fitness industry works. a lot of trainers who will enter the industry are trained in physiology, anatomy, sports medicine. Yeah, so they understand the hard skills of the job. Then they're trained into sales and marketing, and they understand how to get a client. But rarely will anyone walk them through what to do with the revenue thereafter. So a lot of them are trying to live off of revenue, but they don't understand they're living off of income. They don't understand how to do their taxes. They don't understand cost of goods sold. They don't understand inflation. They don't understand all these expenses. Therefore, they're always surprised that by the time that they look at their paycheck, what the hell is FICA? And why am I paying into benefits? And what is this? I thought I just trained someone for $70. How come I'm not getting $70? So there's this discrepancy between the education that they're being provided and what they actually need to live off of.
That discrepancy, I feel, is very present amongst all entrepreneurs. And it's funny, Shay Rowbottom on LinkedIn just did things entrepreneurs say, which covered like half of what you just said. And just so you know, I feel like it's the same thing in the culinary industry. You can have a really talented chef who can put out really delicious food, but they don't know anything about payroll. They don't know anything about taxes. They don't know frankly, they don't know anything about leadership, because sometimes they're genius, but they're not people persons. I imagine it'd be the same thing with a fitness trainer. You might be able to get people excited and riled up, but damn, can you balance a ledger? Can you keep a ledger that is accurate? The basics 101. Same thing in the beer industry. Breweries are going out of business in Northern California. Yes, there are many here, and Nelson will attest to that. But they're also going out of business over and over and over again for the same reason. The beer geeks who raise the money to open the breweries are not necessarily operational managers, and they're not necessarily financial guys. So I understand exactly what you're saying. I never saw this overlap of what you're talking about, so I'm glad you're sharing it with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my whole mission is to supplement personal trainers' education and show them the other side of the coin. So a lot of them understand sales and marketing and how to get revenue, but very few actually understand all of the factors that take revenue away. My hope is one day to partner up with someone who is good in sales and marketing so that we can provide a good comprehensive education to the personal trainer to help the personal trainer develop a sustainable, fulfilling career. At the rate that we're going right now, the statistic is about 90% of personal trainers will actually realize this and quit the profession within the first year. And that's sad, because we still have an obesity epidemic. There's so many people who are genuinely want to be healthy. So if there's fewer personal trainers, there's going to be less of a difference the fitness industry can make. So as long as personal trainers can have that financially stable career, we can fulfill on what our true passion is we generally want to help people. But at the rate that we're going right now, a lot of personal trainers quit. Oftentimes they go into real estate or they switch careers altogether. Shoot. Yeah, and the whole gig economy. So I think it's a unique position that I'm in, and it's only right, it's only ethical to give back to the community and education in order to help. So that's where I'm at right now. So my business, Coach Nelly Toriano. I wrote a book called For the Fit But Poor Personal Trainer, a guide on how to train money, not muscle, to grow. And my whole mission is to help people.
I love that slogan. Train for money, not muscle.
Train money, not muscle.
Train money, not muscle. I love that. You got to meet my friend Danny. She's amazing too. Yeah. And then all the connections that we're having. But anyway, we're going to move off of fitness, move back into fitness, move off of fitness, and then come back to fitness. But what I wanted to just say to my audience here is that personal trainers can provide you, when you talk about if there's less personal trainers, there's less health education, and it takes warriors out of the fight against obesity. I come from a very, very, very plus size family. I mean, everyone in my family is a minimum of 250 pounds at about my height, so we're talking like huge BMIs here, big butts, big legs, like all of that. Everyone in my family is so overweight that I'm actually the skinny one. But what I wanted to say is that personal trainers are not these intimidating Jillian Michaels, just like not every chef is Gordon Ramsay. There are some who understand. There are some who don't look at you as a failure. They look at you as a human being, and they genuinely want to help. For someone like me, I've been kind of in and out of various forms of fitness and athletics my whole life. I've never, not my whole life, my whole adult life, but I've never really played competitive sports, but I've always been into yoga and dancing. I've done everything from salsa to belly dancing to pole dancing. Spinning is a big passion of mine, so I love riding bikes. I've been spinning since I was 18 years old. It's actually one of my bucket list items to become a spin instructor. I would love to. I have all the routines in my head. First position, second position, third position, in and out of the saddle. I got all of that, 75% resistance. I can create a hill workout that will kick your butt. But anyway, one day that will happen. The great thing about trainers, in all of my activities in life, I think CrossFit was probably the best thing that I ever did for myself. It is so empowering for women because you just get so strong so fast. You don't really even need to do cardio before you start to see results in your body. It chisels your body so quickly. And one of the things that I appreciate the most about CrossFit is the personal trainers, is that personal touch, because you can watch all the videos you want, check out all the YouTubes you want, but if you don't have a mirror and someone who understands bone structure and breath and muscles, you're not going to necessarily be working out safely.
Yeah.
And safety is so important, and you only get safety by having good form, and the only way you get good form is if you have a personal trainer to help you. And all the personal trainers that I've ever hired in my life have been so helpful, and sometimes they just teach you so much that after a while you don't even need them, because if you know how to breathe, if you know how to keep your back straight, if you know how to engage your core, if you know how to distribute your weight evenly in both legs and throughout your feet, then you will be working out safe.
Yeah.
And that is what I love about the personal trainers that I've worked with. And so that's why I had to meet you, Nelson, is because there's more to it than people think.
Absolutely.
There's a safety aspect of it that people don't understand. It's not all about vanity. You guys don't look at us and say, well, you're 30% BMI, so you're a fat bitch, and so I just need to get you to work out and lose all the weight, and then, after that I'm going to forget about you. No. A lot of them are like, you know what? You don't really need to lose that much weight. You're obviously strong. Just, watch your diet and make sure that you've got a certain amount of, you're getting a certain amount of gains in. You know what I mean? They're not judging us like you think. They're not all like that Biggest Loser personality. And so I wanted to bring that humanness to the personal training world, and I think you're doing that.
Yeah, thank you. You're absolutely right. There's I do have to point my finger to a lot of social media because it can get really daunting, especially if you spend a lot of time on Instagram specifically, where it can be intimidating. And especially looking at advertisements for a lot of the physical fitness competitions, obstacle course races, and the common person will have a tendency to think that it's intimidating, and it really shouldn't. So the type of personal trainer that you should be working with is obviously going to be the person who's going to be compassionate, who's going to be super smart, but also be kind to your particular SMART goal. So again, if you walk into the gym or you walk into a studio or walk into a box, and just be pretty upfront with that, like, hey, not only do you have a particular weight that you want to get to, but also be real with your emotions. It can be scary. It can be intimidating. So the best personal trainers I've ever worked with are that really good balance between hard skills and the sciences, and they understand the craft, but they're also compassionate. They're also empathetic. They're going to be designing a program that works within your schedule, but also work with your emotional capacity also, because a lot of the times tough personal trainer will set goals a little too high, but if you're the type of person that beats yourself up, it's a program that's not gonna work for you. I'd like to say I'm one of those personal trainers also who is pretty empathic also, but I've also seen a lot of personal trainers who have that really good sense of teaching, but also they're a good person to develop camaraderie with also. You're going to be working with that person for a while, so think of them as like your colleague. There's going to be this back and forth. I've met some wonderful people. I'll share a couple stories also. The couple clients that I was working with, I had no idea that they were going through bullshit in their own personal lives. And I remember I was teaching turbo kickboxing as kind of a cardio version of kickboxing for X number of years, and there was always this one student who was like always in the front. And then she came up to me one class afterward, gave me a card, and said she wasn't coming up, she was relocating. So she gave me a hug, she said thank you for everything, and she walks out. I opened the card, and for the past 2 years, she was battling one of the most terrible divorces ever in the world, according to her words. But she said the 1 hour a week that she was spending with me was the 1 hour out of the week she was not crying. And this is a message to personal trainers, to people who want to get fit, is that when it comes to the exercise in the fitness world, there's definitely a physical fitness component, obviously, but there's also a human side to it. There's also a genuine emotional side to it. I have to say that about someone who is doing a plank and they could never get off their knees until I actually showed her that you could. So having the 5 seconds that she was holding a forearm plank off the knees and then she dropped down, she gave me the biggest smile. She was one of the, to her, she felt overweight, she was hesitant, but that one smile, I will never forget this person at 24-Hour Fitness. That made the world, as a personal trainer, that meant the world to me. There was another woman I was working with, I want to say she was in her 90s. She was taking this HIIT class, high intensity interval training class with me, and she was so scared. She didn't know. I mean, she was like, am I going to break a bone or something? I really wanted to try this. So instead of doing the jumping jacks, I was sitting in the corner with her. I was doing jumping jacks slow motion with her, low impact also. She wasn't going to get down doing a bunch of burpees also. But what we did do was that we did a slow motion, low impact jumping jack and did a push-up against the wall until the timer ran out. Modifications. She couldn't squat down low, do those deep squats like everyone else because she didn't have the mobility in her knees. But she went as low as she could. Her heart rate went up. Afterwards, she gave me the biggest hug. And to see people walk out of your presence feeling confident, feeling happy, I don't know what her fitness goals were or anything else, but being that person who makes a difference with another person, God, I love my job. God, I love what I do, and I love the fitness industry. So there's a totally human side to the personal training industry. You've got to take a look at it, and a lot of it you can't even see on social media. You just have to experience it yourself.
Yeah, I remember the first time I actually did a full back squat with I think it was 195 pounds. I could not believe that I could do it. And this is maybe 4 weeks in CrossFit, and on day one, I could not hold a 30-pound kettlebell. Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah, this stuff really is life-changing. It is so empowering at any age, at any size. Now, we're not going to sit here and say that, being on my 600-pound life, that you're a healthy person. This isn't about body positivity. This is about facts and reality and science. And then also it's about being emotionally intelligent to meet people where they're at. Don't push yourself more than you can go, but if you find the right personal trainer, they can push you at the right rate you need to go. And it's the little incremental victories that are really the most impactful. Because I've seen documentaries about The Biggest Loser. Half of them gain every fucking pound back because it just was not real. But yeah, please go ahead.
When you are in a pursuit of being your optimal weight or your optimal fitness level, there's going to be the actual craft of programming and actual activities that you're doing. I can't stress enough, always think about why you're doing it. Always remember your why. Whether it be your children, whether it be your spouse, whether it be you want to look good in the mirror, have that sense of motivation, but no one can tell you what you're going to be motivated about. It's always going to be that intrinsic. I know for me, I was always picked last, and so I was never super athletic.
So you were like the skinny kid?
I was the uncoordinated one.
You were the goofy kid.
I was the goofy kid. I could not shoot a basketball for the life of me. You could have held a gun to my head. I couldn't do it. I was so uncoordinated. So for me, every time I walk into the gym, pushing myself a little bit harder, improving myself, even in the most smallest increment, means the world to me. And that's my why. If you have an intrinsic why, you will stick with the program. So here's a message to all you New Year's resolutioners. Just stop that. Just stop that bullshit. Because you know very well you ain't going to stick with it. No one ever sticks with their New Year's resolutions. What makes a difference is that you actually think about why you're even doing it to begin with. So you want that beach body. Great. If it speaks to you, then it speaks to you. It may not speak to someone else, but if that gets you up first thing in the morning that you want to work out at 6 a.m., do it. But if you also are, let's say that you want to kick your smoking habit, you want to be there around for your children. I'm seeing some dads who stopped their drinking altogether and started training for marathons even though they didn't feel like they could do it because they need to be around for their children. That's an intrinsic motivation. So you have to find that first, and then everything will start rolling out. Like, you're going to start noticing you're going to be committed to it for a longer term. It is a lifestyle. Don't do it for the... I've done some programs that guaranteed me the six-pack in about 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 3 months. Those work. I gained it back, though. So, temporary happiness and temporary results, again, they're temporary. But once you have that lifestyle change, you start fulfilling on your why, dude, it feels good. So you got to do that way.
I think another way to describe what you just said, and we talked about this earlier, is we called it sustainable lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And I'm the same way because I have a 90-minute workshop called Clean Eating on a Budget. And the point that I think we're two sides of the same coin, Nelson, is you want to create sustainable fitness regimen for your clients, and I want to be able to create a sustainable budget and cooking regimen for my clients too. I want to teach people, okay, I know that when you first go out on your diet and it's New Year's resolutions, you're going to go to Whole Foods, you're going to spend $600 on food that you don't know how to cook, that you don't know how to prep, you don't know how to freeze it for later so you don't waste your food, and you don't have any industry knowledge of how to actually calculate your macros, how to actually calculate your intake, how to actually portion your food with a scale or with measuring cups or spoons, you know what I mean? So that's where what I do comes in, and a lot of it's on my website, my 90-minute workshop. So I'm really excited about it because I'm like you. I feel like if this isn't something that I can do long term, there's no fucking point in doing it. So always comes back to your why. Why am I eating this brown rice and the vegetables and the grilled chicken that I marinated in an Italian dressing to give it some fucking flavor? Why am I eating it? Because if I go out and I buy the other shit, I'm not going to have any more money for healthy food. Right. So just like you said, like if you go out and you do the 90-day programs, that's great. But if you don't remember your why, you're just going to go right back to whatever you did before. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And this is so appropriate for what we're doing for the time and place that we're in right now. I want to take it to craft beer. Yep. And then I'm going to take it back to your company. And I would love for you to give me an example or two of how you help companies financially or how you help trainers financially. Just one or two stories. But let's take this in another direction, shall we, Nelson?
Absolutely.
We're here at Buffalo Bill's. This is a brewery. The tanks are here. The barrels are here. The food is pretty damn good. The portions were insane. The portions were insane, but we both ordered salads, so we're okay. When did you start? How old were you when you started drinking what we call craft beer? Not the Budweiser, not the Foster's, not the Heineken, not the Corona, but like the more upscale stuff that you seem to have great knowledge about.
Yeah. So craft beer, I didn't start going to these places until I was probably in my mid-20s. Definitely after undergraduate. So I want to say it was about like 2005, 2006. And even then, my frame of reference was Guinness, because that's all we drank in college. Or Bud. So I went to University of San Francisco. Nearby on Clement Street, there was a tons of Irish bars, and since I'm one of the few, so all I knew was that, and I had a fake ID. So since I'm the token person of color walking into these Irish bars, I had a fake ID. I was from Hawaii. I was like 6'4", some bullshit, whatever. But since I'm brown, they didn't really think anything of me, so they just let me in. So all I knew were like the watered down bullshit type of beers, and then I wanted to get fucked up, so I always drank Guinness. So when I started going to these craft beers, it's like two totally different sides of the spectrum. So when I started going to these craft beers, it was a totally different world. And I had to be honest with the person. I felt super stupid, but the more that I talked to them and they gave me the reassurance, you could just ask us questions about what your palate is, what you're looking for. The conversations with the people who were serving me were so nice that they actually started educating me. I really appreciate it. I started learning things about malt. I started learning about ABV. I started learning about all of these different things. I was like, wow, there's so much more than whatever can that I was drinking when I was a senior. So yeah, mid-20s, and it changed my world.
I'm so happy to hear that, and I'm glad. And once again, this speaks to what good customer service can do for a business. Wherever Mr. Nelson was drinking outside of UCSF on 3rd and Clement or 20th or whatever streets you were over, the beer tenders or the bartenders took the time to educate him and make him feel comfortable. And that makes the biggest difference in the world. That is what's going to create loyalty to the bar, loyalty to the brands, the different brands that you're, over time you learn to see, who makes what beers and what's local, and then you kind of have your local favorites, like obviously for me, Drake's. Living in San Leandro, Drake's is in San Leandro, so of course I'm going to go support them, right? And then obviously creating not just brand loyalty to a specific brand, but creating loyalty to the lifestyle itself. Now, I told you, Nelson, that you were an answer to my prayers, because even before I started my podcast, I knew way back when that I wanted to meet with either a CrossFit trainer or a Spartan or a personal trainer and talk to somebody about bringing beer into that sustainable health lifestyle. Okay, first of all, so we all know that throughout history, beer has actually saved lives, because when water was impure and unable to drink it, brewing beer actually kept a lot of people alive, men, women, and children. So that's a little Dark Ages history lesson for you.
Nice.
Yes, beer has a lot of calories. Yes, beer has a lot of carbs, but it's still a fermented beverage. So there are still some health aspects to beer. I mean, if you would mind giving a statement about that. But then after that, I want you to talk about how to still enjoy life while maintaining your healthy, sustainable lifestyle that is based on your why, that comes from your heart.
What was the first statement that you wanted me to make?
The first one was about if there's any benefits to fermentation, fermented foods, fermented beverages.
Oh, the benefits of fermentation, once in a while, it is good for the gut.
Yeah.
Especially if you just feel, you would know that you need something in your gut, like say any fermentation like probiotics or kombucha or any along those lines, is if in your head you just know that your body is off. I can't really explain what off means because that's not a medical term, but
maybe like sometimes a little lethargic, a little tired, perhaps digestive system not working as we need it to.
Mm-hmm. I know for me, growing up PC, if I feel constipated, I need something fermenting. Grab some kimchi, grab a couple pickles or something like that. But you'll feel it in your stomach and it resonates into your head. You just have to be really in tune to your body when you are off your equilibrium. So fermentation, it definitely does help. You don't necessarily rely on it, but don't make it a standard. But you just kind of need that kickstart.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to incorporating something sustainable in your life, a couple key pointers to make. First, New Year's resolutioners, I know a bunch of you are doing your dry January. That's some bullshit. I'm calling it out right now. I don't know why you guys do that. I know it's for like detoxing purposes. Let me clarify something. Your liver detoxes your body. Drink lots and lots of water, you will naturally detox. Eat a lot of fiber, you'll naturally poop out your bullshit. But you don't need to give up alcohol unless you were like super trashed for like anywhere between October all the way until December 31st. I don't know why you were trashed for like 8 weeks straight, then maybe, but you should go to rehab instead. But having 1 month of just not drinking, one, that's not fun. Two, you're lying to yourself. Let's talk about incorporating beer that is going to be more sustainable. Now, you're not going to be drinking on your every single day anyway. You're going to be drinking maybe a beer or half a pint just to relax during a weekday. But for the most part, you're going to be saving a lot of your drinking for the weekends when you have more time and you're not going into the office. Now, how the formula works is depending on your SMART goal. And let's go back to your SMART goal. If you have a goal to lose weight, you're going to have to count your calories. If you are training for muscle growth and have that lean body and lean muscle mass, then you're going to be looking at net carbs. So the number of calories equals ABV, alcohol per volume, times carbohydrates, times net carbs. When you go get a beer, they will usually give the percentage for ABV, usually. Now, what they will not tell you is net carbs. You'll have to go and look it up. Usually, if you get bottled beers in the grocery store, maybe or maybe not on the box or in the bottle, they'll actually tell you net carbs. But that's a thing that you have to look up on the website. And then you're going to have to calculate the calories. And I could only remember only a handful of bars that will actually list out the calorie content. But for the most part, it's ABV that's going to be the most readily available information. Will you remember that equation? No. Will you remember doing that calculation in your head when you're actually at the bar and asking the person what that person recommends? No. Usually a lot of these bar menus are going to be super, super long. So you know what? Just know that, and you have on your phone, just know that that's available. So this is my recommendation. Do some research before you go out. Have a couple tastings, understand what type of flavors that you're looking for and what type of your favorite beer. Yeah. Then when you go, ask for their recommendation, tell them what you're looking for. This is why I love going to craft beer places, because I always can get into dialogue. One, I can get more education, but two, I get their actual opinion and I can end up trying something new. These beers that we tried tonight, I never had them before and I fell in love with the last one, you know? So it gets really informational. Tell them about the ABV that you're looking at. Tell them that you're looking for something with the lowest carbs. Tell them that you're looking for something that's a little bit lighter. Ask a lot of questions, and they're more than helpful to tell you. They'll give you tastings, and if you like it, great. You may or may not be in the mood for something light. Hell, you might be in the mood for something watered down. I don't know why you would want, but hey, you might be interested in that. Or let's say that it's a celebration, you want something a little bit heavier, you had a really long week and you deserve it. Great, go ahead and go all out. And again, it goes back to your SMART goal, and then treat the person who's serving you kind of like as a guide, like your personal trainer. Tell them what your needs are, tell them what you're looking for, and they're going to best prescribe something for you also. So know the formula, do your research before actually going out, and give them a frame of reference of like, this is what you're looking for, this is the taste profile that you want. For me, I don't like hops, so I tend to stay away from IPAs, though I'm open to it. If the person makes a recommendation and say like, this has a little hops, but I just kind of want you to try it. Some of the best beers I've had was based on that recommendation I would previously X'd out altogether. That's going to be trying to find the right beer. How much should you drink? That's going to be totally dependent on you. If it's going to be a celebration, if you're out there for your best girlfriend's birthday party, get drunk. I don't care. You're going to go to the gym. Maybe you'll go to the gym tomorrow. But here's how to manage yourself. Drink water. Dude, find a designated driver. Constantly stay hydrated. You have all been there where you were not hydrated, that you didn't eat, and you drank a lot. We've all been there. So I know you already know the formula. Coconut water, Gatorade, and then Excedrin before you go to bed. We've all been there, right? So I think by now you're old enough to know you should stay hydrated. You should do that. Now, guide yourself, and then don't chug the first pint or even half pint or even the flight down. Nurse it. you should be old enough that you can handle it, right? Eat a lot. Stay hydrated also, and then check in after you finish your pint. Do you feel a little woozy? Should you slow down? Are you drinking? Hopefully you're not drinking by yourself. You're drinking with someone, and if that other person says like, hey, you're drinking a little too fast, or hey, I don't want you just like, just talk and eat or something like that, get some water or something. You kind of have this, kind of like working out with a partner. You have a partner when you're drinking and having fun. So this is how you create a more sustainable, that you don't actually have to dodge beer altogether. It can actually be part of your everyday life. You're just in control of it and still meeting your SMART goals.
I love that. I love that. I love that. And one thing that stood out to me is when you said nurse the beer. And I like that. Even though I make chug videos, even though I'm just being silly, most people don't understand. I actually don't even drink every day. I don't drink every day. I'm like you recommended. I save it for the weekends, or I save it for the podcast. I pick and choose my battles very carefully. And because I love the flavors of beer and all the amazing different types of fruit beers and pastry beers and stouts, and that makes me want to sip it and enjoy it even more. And with some of these barrel-aged imperial stouts, it's just like drinking bourbon. So you gotta drink it slow. You enjoy it. You don't abuse it. I'll say that again. This show, everything that I do with Beer Talk Radio, it is all about enjoying the art form of fermentation. It is not about abusing alcohol. And on the flip side of that is that my tolerance is so high, it takes me a lot of alcohol to get buzzed. And you know what? I don't need to get buzzed to have fun. I don't need to get fucked up white girl Vegas drunk to have a good time, because you know what? I can dance in the shower. I can sing on my way to work. I can enjoy and connect with people just by saying hello. And so for some of you, you might even need part of your fitness regimen is you might even need to work on your social skills just a little bit. Don't be so afraid to go outside the house. When you're eating, like, think about it. I knew I was going to drink tonight, so what did I have? I had a nice light poke bowl with mostly vegetables, only a small amount of rice. Was very careful about my portionings, only maybe like 4 ounces. Lots of protein, lots of vegetables. I don't drink any sodas. I only have coffee, maybe 2 cups of coffee a week, and I drink a lot of water, just because I know that with the amount of beer that I drink for the show, I have to redistribute my carbs where they can be useful. And let me bring in just a wild idea, Nelson. You might know about this, you might not. But in the Spartan lifestyle, and for all my Spartans, aroo, aroo, aroo.
I got my trifecta in 2018, so I know it very well.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, I didn't even know you were a fellow Spartan before you sat down. This is what LinkedIn can do for you people. Anyhow, so in the obstacle race culture, first of all, I want everyone to know that it is very, very inclusive. When I run Spartan races or any other type of obstacle course race, you see 300-pounders. You see people, man, when I was doing the Spartan race in the Bahamas, there was somebody there who had no fucking legs.
Oh, yeah. Speak on
and they ran the race with their hands. There was a girl with crutches. She had, I think, spina bifida. She ran the race. There was a dude about 400 pounds. He ran the race. There were old people, young people, kids, everybody. And that should lend to what we're saying about how inclusive fitness can be. And if you want to be in the right environments are there to support you. If you want the right trainer is there to support you. But anyway, running these Spartans and doing all these obstacle course races, beer is a big part of the culture. Yep. And I'm glad to have you on the show today. Let's talk a little bit about using the carbs from beer. How do you strategically place that before or after your workout?
Depending on your workout goal and depending on what your trainer said, there's going to be two things I have to mention. The net carbs is going to be, again, going back to the formula, calories equals ABV plus? I forgot, plus. Net carbs. So you can always save that. Now, at the end of the day, you're going to need that X number of net carbs depending on the activity. So if your goal is going to be running the Spartan race, you're going to need to carb load. That's a lot of running, especially if you do what did I do to get the trifecta?
14 mile.
I did the 14 mile. What was the last one called? The super, not the super. There goes the sprint, the super, and then the beast.
The sprint, the super, the beast. Yeah.
The beast. Oh, I was so sick of running. But the net carbs is added to how many carbohydrates that you ate previously. So the amount of bread, the amount of rice, the amount of potatoes. That's another thing for you fitness people. Don't dodge carbs. Carbs is actually one of the macros that body actually uses. So that ends up being part of the formula, but that by the end of the day, that you need to balance out. Now, also, you don't want to have excessive number of calories, but you want to have a good fair share of calories because that's all the calories that are going to be burned into your race. Surprisingly, when you are training, you're going to need to eat a lot more because you're going to need that reserved energy. Anyone who's ever done that Spartan, anyone who's done a long marathon, anyone who's been working out for like an excessive amount of time, you know that halfway through, you're going to need the electrolytes, you're going to need the carbs, you're going to need the calories. Your body just needs that. Now, the race ends up being really, really hard if you're in a deficit of any of those. So use beer to supplement any of the macros, any of the carbohydrates that you may feel you're actually depleted of. Add that to the formula. So you can actually sit down with your trainer, with your group, whoever's going to be guiding you, to work out a whole meal plan that actually incorporates it. Again, not dodging it. Now, some people will argue that the calories that you're getting from beer are empty calories. Technically, there isn't a whole lot of nutrition there. Like, there's no lot of fiber, there's not vitamin A or B or K. That's fine. One, you're still going to need the calories, again, based on the formula. Two, you're going to get those nutrients and vitamins from the other foods that you're eating. So tonight, I had a chicken salad. It came with, it was grilled chicken, it had tomatoes, it had romaine, it had spinach, it had olives. So that part, I got all of my vitamins and I got my own nutrients. I'm not training for anything, so of course I have room in order to incorporate a craft beer. It just makes sense because at the end of the day, in the entire larger picture of my meals, in the larger picture of what I have for today, it works. So you don't have to dodge it.
I love that. And for the listeners, we're going to put that formula in the show notes. Actually, I might even put it in the first line of the show notes so everyone understands what we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. The formula. Number of calories equals ABV plus net carbs. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Nelson, thank you so much, because this was the conversation that I've been wanting to have for like over a year and a half. This is good notes here, and I think people who are dieting or training can feel a little bit better about still enjoying craft beer responsibly. One thing that I do want to go back is Nelson has mentioned a couple times is communicating with your bartender too. And I like that idea. It didn't dawn on me, but it is really important because you don't want to go through 5 2-ounce samples before you find what you like, because that's a lot of empty calories for something that maybe you didn't enjoy because You're just sipping. And that happens a lot at beer festivals. You drink so many little 1-ounce samples, you get so fucked up so fast. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes like you're not even liking everything you're drinking. You're just drinking it to drink it. Yeah. That's a waste of time. But yeah, I like communicate with your bartender. If you know that you're a Pilsner girl like me, then ask for the Pilsners first, so that you're making wise decisions and allocating your carbs where you can enjoy it, and it's not a waste. If you know you're an IPA person, which we are not, except for the Heretic Brewing Company Juicy IPAs, those are good. Ask for what you want first. Don't just throw shots in the dark, because the bartenders are there to help you. They love answering your stupid questions because you know what? When people ask questions, they learn better. Yep. We as customers help the bartenders learn better, just like my customers help me be a better chef, and I'm sure your clients help you be a better trainer. One more time, let's come back to your finance brand. Let's come back to the contact information and then just tell everybody a little bit more about your services.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the CEO of Coach Nelly Toriano. It is a financial education company designed for personal trainers and fitness professionals. I offer online courses. I offer my book, For the Fit But Poor Personal Trainer, a guide on how to train money, not muscle. For the Fit But Poor Personal Trainer, a guide on how to train money, not muscle, to grow. The content of the book will guide you through the 4 roles that you can be. It's always going to be employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. And I go into detail. I'm actually really clear that I'm not going to be teaching you sales and marketing tactics. I'm going to be explaining finance and accounting in fitness terms. So those 2 very alienating topics, very boring topics, are explained to you in a language that you actually understand, because it is important to me, and it should be important to you also, that you not only understand how to generate revenue, you also know what's going to take your revenue away. So it's going to be 2 sides of the same coin, and my goal is to make sure you personal trainers and basically anyone who is financially illiterate to understand how money actually works, the good and the bad. Taxes, cost of goods sold, inflation, in relation to the entire economy. We're in a very unique stage in the economy where technically we're at a very low personal tax bracket. And if you don't know, with things like what the recent law has passed, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017, Trump passed that back in 2017. He's holding personal tax brackets where they are right now until 2025. So if any of you guys are still in the workforce up until 2025, enjoy it. Because starting January 1st, 2026, everyone's personal tax brackets goes up by 4%. If you're not preparing for that, be ready that you're going to be putting more into your taxes. So this is where you're going to start really needing to look at different ways to have different forms of income. And in my book, I'll explain those really convoluted topics that oftentimes, if you're not business-minded or you're not actually researching this on your own, you will never know. So I want to explain this and make the topics a little bit more approachable. Now, I offer courses online from the book. It's an exam that's vetted by the National Academy of Sports Medicine. So if you were to take that course, you actually get accreditation to your certificate. So kind of giving you another incentive in order to read the book. It is super important. I'm actually vetted by an association. Reach out to me on CoachNellyToriano.com. Shoot me an email. My contact information is there. It's nelson.coachnellytoriano.com. I do offer custom pricing for one-on-one coaching. We will go through a whole career development plan with a 30-minute complimentary session. Every coaching call or every career design is always going to be personal. So there's never, in the fitness world, there's never going to be one size that fits all. Like, once you're a personal trainer, this is what you should do. It really speaks to you. So we designed something that actually speaks to your SMART goals. If you want to open up a gym, all the way until you want to be a social media entrepreneur, all the way until you just want to train one-on-one clients. How do you do it? How you get your foot in the door? I'll explain everything. Custom pricing, custom number of sessions. Again, it really does depend on you. So right now I'm mentoring 2 people. One I just started with about just a couple days ago, so we're still going to draft his SMART goals. And the other one is, I want to say she's 19, 20 years old. So she's just, actually she's not even a recent college grad. She's still in community college, still deciding what career that she actually wants to do. So that will give her insight what type of major she wants to do. She and I sat down for coffee. We went through a SWOT analysis. When you're that young, a lot of your parental feedback gets a little bit hazy. And so that kind of influences you. So we took all of her concerns when it comes from parents, when it comes from school, when it comes to money. We went through a whole SWOT analysis for all of the different decisions she has available. If you don't know what that decision framework is, it stands for strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threat. There's never a right and wrong answer. What it is that I'll be guiding you through what are the different opportunities, what are the different threats, what are the different considerations you should have when you're looking at the decision. If anything resonates with you, then that's going to be the quote-unquote right one for you. So what I advise to all of my clients is that there's going to be a lot of people trying to advise you of what you should do, but they're also coming from a perspective of their own background, their viewpoint, their very myopic way of saying, because I went through this, this is what you should go through. It's going to be overwhelming. So you and I will actually take all of that data into my head. We'll take all of that data, just put it on a piece of paper, sort everything out, and just start discerning what really speaks to you as an individual person, because you are in full control of your career. So reach out to me if that really speaks to you. I would love to help you out. My whole goal is to make sure that, one, you lead a fulfilling, self-fulfilling career, but also one that is sustainable as well. So let me explain money to you, and I'll help get you to your SMART goal.
I love that you brought up the quadrant, and I believe there's a book by Robert Kiyosaki called, it's the guy who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, but he wrote another book afterwards, something. That's it. And the fact that you're able to take that concept and then apply it to fitness professionals, especially entrepreneur fitness professionals, I think that is so beautiful. I would love to get a copy of your book. Is it only available through your website, or do you have another publishing company or Amazon or another website where people can buy it?
So check it out on Amazon. It's going to be available. On Amazon. Paperback, ebook, as well as audio. All three. So you really have no excuse not to buy it, okay?
I love that. Well,
one thing when you're talking to the person who is serving you craft beer, I'm a big wine person. So back in the day, I used to be totally into red. Nowadays, I'm into whites. But the wide world of wine, one, it could be super confusing. There's so many different varietals. There's so many different vineyards. There's so many different regions of the world that produce great and not so great wines. And it takes me a lot of time to find the taste that I really like, that actually work for my palate. Every sommelier that I speak to, I always have to question them and ask them for the recommendations. I tell them my taste profile and tell them what I'm looking for, because there's such a large variety. Treat talking to the person who is serving you craft beer the same exact way. One, give them the respect that they actually understand and they are educated about the different taste profiles that they're offering you. Two, there is such a wide variety, and the beer world is so huge. There's all these different breweries. There's always different new tastes coming out. So treat it just the same. Tell them your taste profile. Tell them what you're looking for. Tell them what you're in the mood for. Tell them if you're celebrating something. And then just kind of have fun with it. Give yourself some time in order to find what beer actually works for your palate, but also what actually works for your health needs, that actually feel suitable for your personality at that given time. I know for me, at certain times, I actually really do like cider. I want to take a break from beer. Some days, I actually do really like the stout because I want something heavy and I just want to go all out. But in the whole world that is craft beer, there is such a large variety. You should totally have fun with it. Give yourself some time and drink everything with lots of water. The second part about being financially stable, about being financially literate. So Coach Nelly Toriano prioritizes financial literacy. In my perspective, it is unethical and it's disserving to refrain people from actually having that education, be instituted in colleges, they be instituted in universities and in secondary education in high school, all the way down to elementary school. So what happens is that when we graduate high school and college or whatever institution that we're pursuing our education, we're really good in getting that diploma and learning the actual craft, whatever that diploma says. But once we get out into the real world, there's going to be a difference between things like a W-2 and 1099, an employee and earning a paycheck, and then if you're being a business owner. So having that fundamental, foundational education on how to handle your career in terms of money, that applies across the board, not just in fitness, not just in personal training. Understand how to do your taxes, understanding the different tax laws, understand how you as a person within this country is impacting by any of the economic, legal ramifications that is said in the news, but you don't know how it actually impacts your everyday life. You as a person, you as a partner, or you as a parent. So understanding that, having that deep understanding of your own finances and how it is in the larger perspective of things, super important. Take a look at my book. I'll give you an idea of how it can apply to you. but there's a plethora of other resources. Again, like she said, Robert Kiyosaki was one of my inspirations. Check out the cash flow quadrant.
There's one more component of Beer Talk Radio that you may not be aware of. I have something called the rapid fire questions. And similarly to your friend who encourages people, you should shout him out. The podcast that you said that entrepreneurs have to talk about everything except being an entrepreneur.
Lee Rowley, what's up? Hey, Lee Rowley. Love you.
I'm kind of trying to do something kind of fun, so I have 5 rapid fire questions, and you just got to answer as quickly as the answer can come to your brain. Okay.
Shit,
you ready? All right. Who is your favorite Batman?
Oh, shit. Not Ben Affleck. Michael Keaton. There you go.
Michael Keaton. There we go. That's my favorite, too.
Yeah.
What are your top 3 favorite beer styles?
Beer styles.
I know you like hefts.
Yep. So you got hefts. I like ales, ambers, in that order. Yeah.
You're like me. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek. Sorry, guys. Star Trek.
What is your hidden talent?
My hidden talent? Oh, shoot. Fuck. It had to do something with dancing. Oh, I dance in a cage. I could dance in a cage for like hours. That was back in college. Oh, God, you're going to edit this?
We don't need to know that much about you, bro. Trust me, I be all up in the Castro. I know what happens in the cages, okay?
Yeah, you got that right. You know, you and I probably crossed paths before. Yeah.
We've probably been at the same club on the same night. Anyhow, chrome, copper, or stainless steel?
Stainless steel. It's everywhere.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being on the show, Nelson. I can't wait to grow with you, not just on LinkedIn, but hopefully just here in the Bay Area now that we've crossed paths and we found each other. I'm so happy you answered all of the questions that I wanted answered and gave us so much more, and I look forward to reading your book.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully I gave you guys some valuable information. Again, reach out to me, but it's been an honor to be on the show. Thank you so much for having me.
And that concludes this week's episode of Beer Talk Radio. If you enjoyed this episode, please comment and rate on iTunes, and that will help other people find the podcast. If you are interested in receiving one of my Street Team swag bags, please visit my website, www.beertalkradio.net. Enter your rapid fire questions and your name into the subscribe area, and I will send you one. If you're interested in being on the show, I'd be happy to put a clip of your voice and your commentary in the following episode by leaving a voicemail. The link to the voicemail is in the show notes. And if you have any questions for me or past guests, I'd be happy to get those answered for you. Send me an email at jenny@beertalkradio.net. Thanks for drinking with me, and have a good one.